building off of an impressive home win against Central Connecticut State on Monday night at the MAC, the Monmouth women's basketball team goes back to action this Saturday by starting things off with in-state rival FDU at 2 o'clock before going to Quinnipiac, who comes into this week at first place in the conference on Monday. But before we talk about that, we'll steal a few minutes with Coach Jenny Palmateer and talk about the game last night, this home win against Central Connecticut. It was a real gut check win for your team, which now puts you in fourth place in the Northeast Conference.
Yeah, I think a really pivotal game for us. You know, we're getting down to crunch time right here. 8 games left now. Yesterday, 9 games left, and so you know these last few are just critical. And for us, we're really going to be matched up against people that we're either tied with in conference right now. A couple are right below us, but just a notch below us, and then of course we'll have a shot to hopefully be able to compete against some of the teams that are above us. So. You know, we want to try to be in control of our own destiny with the playoff picture right around the corner. So from here on out, you know, every game is going to be critical, and really to be able to win at home is almost a must.
And now you do have to go on the road against a team in FDU that is going to be battling for a tournament spot, and then a Quinnipiac team, Coach, that really has been the class of the league, you know, so far this season. These last few games, you know, and it's a couple weeks, what's the mindset? Because you do have a very veteran-laden team that if you look at those standings, you go up 1 game or down 1 game, it's the difference between playing in a home game and in some cases not even making the NEC tournament. So, you know, knowing you have that veteran squad, how does it make this final month or so different or, you know, good or bad for you guys?
Well, I think it makes it good for us. You know, these players have been here for 4 years. A lot of them have been playing since their freshman year. And even last year, you know, it got to a point where you win or lose 1 game and you were either, you know, sitting at home on the first round or potentially not making the tournament. So I think that's been a constant on the women's side in the NEC for at least the last 2 years. And so they have experience with that. I think, you know, they don't view that as pressure. I think they're used to it. And it's a motivating factor for our seniors especially. And I think that's going to be something that can help push us through, you know, these next 8 games for sure. I mean, it's tough. It's really tough. But again, critical. You want to try and get a home seed. So.
Well, absolutely. And I know last season, your first season with the program, got that first game at home, and that propelled you guys on that run to the NEC tournament final. And just how important is it to get that postseason game at home? Obviously, making the postseason, that's what everyone's goal. Everyone wants to do that. But if you're able to get at least 1, potentially more games here in the MAC, that'd be huge.
Oh, it would be. It's so hard to win on the road in this league, you know, and so the more games you can get at home, the better, for sure. And, you know, I think our veteran team understands that. And, you know, there'll probably be some times where people, they don't really understand the importance of it. This group for sure understands the importance of it.
Now looking ahead to these 2 games, you start off on Saturday, leading things off with FDU with the men afterwards at 4:30. You know, not to put any extra pressure on anyone, but if Monmouth wins 1 game that day, we get the Cody Cup back here in West Long Branch. But your team will lead things off at 2 p.m. You just saw FDU, you know, not too long ago. Now you see them at their place. Why don't you talk about that matchup?
It's a great matchup for us. You know, they present some different challenges. They've got a great player on the inside. And they've got some real athletes on the perimeter. And so I thought we did a really good job the first time around taking care of the inside and really being able to shut down the perimeter penetration, which was a key for us. They're also a team that can really rebound, and that's something that we'll have to focus on. I'm sure that they'll make some adjustments. Wouldn't be surprised to see some more pressure out of them full court, you know, certainly some half court traps because they're really capable of that with the athletes that they have. But the good news is we have just seen them, not too far removed from that game, so we're very familiar with the personnel. We'll be making a few changes ourselves, but that's a game, you know, you have to bring your A game. Definitely have to bring our A game to that one to be able to pull out of FDU with a win, and really, you know, we'd love to do our part to get the cup back here at Monmouth.
Well, if you have to bring, and obviously the team and you bring the A game every game if it's needed. Saturday, it definitely will be needed on Monday against a Quinnipiac team that is among the upper echelon team in the league. It's a team everyone's chasing right now, and they could lock up home court if they're able to win a few more games. And that team, you know, as good as the teams that we've seen this year has been, you know, that Quinnipiac team has proven so far to be the class of the league.
They really have, and, you know, they really have kind of separated themselves right now. From top to bottom, I think they have very consistent play. You can look at their stat sheets from the beginning of the season to now. Certain people are going to give certain things, and night in and night out, those people give what they're supposed to. They've got great inside game, and they've got a great outside game. A lot of quickness. They really get after it on the defensive end. Will definitely be a tough game at Quinnipiac for us.
Yeah, we need to mention, just because it's fresh in our minds, it happened last night, but one of your seniors, Abby Martin, goes out, gets her 1,000th point early in the basketball game in the win against Central. We saw Alicia Womack earlier this year get the 1,000th point. These are big-time players that I know you'll be counting on during the stretch run, but, speaking about Abby specifically, I'm sure, it's a tremendous honor. You were a great player in your right, so I know you recognize that when you see it.
Yeah, I didn't score 1,000 points in college, so I really can appreciate that. She, for Abby, really happy for Abby because she's such a workhorse for us. And really almost every game that we play, she's undersized. She's undersized. We count on her on the defensive end to battle with bigs. And really, it's tough. She's got to score over a lot of size in our league. And so for her to be able to accomplish what she has is really just a credit to her and really her work ethic and how hard she plays every game.
And then, Coach, final question for me. In last night's game, you got a great performance, a great shooting performance out of Carly Tebow. We also saw Casey Chambers really come alive and hit some outside shots, and you have to like that, seeing it from both the senior and the freshman, both combining to have a pretty good, solid game.
Absolutely. For Carly, I think Carly's been one person that has been most consistent for us from start of the season until this point. She's just been really solid, taking care of the ball, shooting the ball really well. Yesterday, extremely well. But she really is somebody that we've been able to rely on. And I think the closer we get to the end, the more she's realizing it's the end. And she really has stepped her game up in for sure, the last 3 games. And then to see Casey be able to come out and contribute is huge. Casey really did a great job for us to start the season. Took a little bit of a confidence hit and, struggled during the mid part of the year, but is really peaking for us at the right time. She's got her confidence back. Things seem to be coming a little easier for her on the floor. And when she's playing well, it just gives us a whole nother dimension. It gives us another perimeter player that we can actually add in the mix. Get Gabby a little bit of a break at the point sometimes, which we know we're going to need down the stretch. So really good timing for both of them to be playing well.
Well, and hopefully that play continues into these 2 games, Saturday and Monday. Coach, good luck against both Quinnipiac and FDU.
Thanks, Eddie.
That's Monmouth head coach Jenny Palmateer. Again, we'd like to remind you to not only keep track with all the schedule and all the statistics for the Monmouth women's basketball team. Full recaps of each game will not only be available on GoMuHawks.com, you can follow along with the Monmouth women's basketball team on Twitter throughout those entire games. And as always, we remind you, for all things Monmouth athletics, keep it right here on the official online home of the Hawks, GoMuHawks.com.